Hey everybody, and welcome to Side Hustle Ideas. I am Bill, the company's expert, and I want to thank all my channel members, all my Patreons, all my super thanks donors, and all you participants who are here, especially the people who get in the chat and ask some questions. Because if you are wanting to learn about business, how to start a business, how to be successful in business, you've hopefully come to the right place. I was told I need to amp up my introduction. Somebody made a comment and said I need to amp up. So I could start, I thought about this. I put a great deal of thought into this, and I figured I could use more gestures, right? Like this, like you guys are the real stars. Or like this, I know what it's about. Or like this, I'm telling you something, right? Maybe some confetti behind me. Or I need to pay someone to scatter money, cash, behind me. We'll see if that works to jazz this thing up. Maybe some pyro behind my chair. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea. The title of the episode of Side Hustle Ideas today is The Secret to Making Profits, Marketing. And the subtitle is The Basics of Marketing, How It Sets You Up for Success in Business. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, remember, this is fundamentally a Q&A, so if you are wondering anything, or you are struggling anything, or you're working on a current challenge and you need some help, if you see my face, you should see a chat box nearby. Get in the chat box and let me know what you're dealing with, and I'll try to help you if I can. But to start things off, we're going to talk about marketing. Now, why is this important? Well, this is important because it's a kind of rookie mistake that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs make and a lot of people who try and do side hustles, especially introverts and especially technically minded introverts like myself. They tend to have a blind spot for this kind of thing. And so this is something that I think should be primarily of interest to them. If you're an extrovert, if you're tuned into people, you may have less of a struggle with some of these concepts, but for a lot of people, it's a real shift in how you think, okay? And we're going to get into that. Now, let's start off with, I guess, the basics. I wrote myself some notes, so I'm going to be looking over here the entire time. I don't know how far we'll get with my notes. It depends how many questions I get. But let's start with the basics, okay? Hopefully everybody knows some of the basic terms here. A group of companies, like a group of suppliers or producers, what's that called? Well, that's called an industry, right? You have a group of suppliers. But a group of customers, what's that called? That's called a market, right? So marketing is the scientific study of customers. That's what it is, okay, for those who didn't know. It is the sort of applied statistics approach that's combined with psychology and sociology to understand the behavior of customers and potential customers. So to translate that into English for you, if you're not familiar, it's basically the scientific study of how to make something popular. That's what it is. So as you can imagine, this is going to be of intense interest if you're wanting to go into business, if you're wanting to do a side hustle and make some money, or you're wanting to do a full-blown business, or you're working in a business and you're trying to grow it. Okay, in all of those scenarios, you're going to want to care deeply about this stuff and the theory behind it. I've encountered a lot of people that know either the theory or they've been out doing the practice, but not too many people that are really skilled in both. If you are, that's extremely powerful. So we're going to get into it. And also, by the way, these principles apply not just in the world of business, but in any sphere where you're wanting to make something popular. So for example, in politics, right? If you're a politician, God help you, you want to be elected, right? So you want to make yourself popular. You want people to know who you are. You want people to know what you stand for, and you want people to know that they want to vote for you, right? So you're trying to make yourself popular, right? So once again, you come back to the basic principles of marketing. Now let me show you something here. If I can get this, if I can get my own computer to work. I'm here at Google. Let's see if I can type with my microphone in the way. here's something I want to do a little myth busting here. Okay, I type in marketing basics when you go to Google. Now, what do you get? Okay, you get a bunch of sponsored crap. Let's skip that. Okay, here's the first real article. Marketing basics. Now, what does it say? It says, for all its complexity, at its core, marketing revolves around four things: product, price, promotion, and place. Wrong. Wrong. It doesn't revolve around those things. These are certainly a part of marketing. They're an important concept in the world of marketing, but it does not revolve around those things. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Next search result here, Marketing 101, the ultimate guide for beginners. Your marketing mix consists of four key components, otherwise known as the 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. Well, okay, that's not technically wrong, but that leaves you with the wrong impression that these things are central, and they're not central. Let's go to the third and final one we'll do here. Fundamentals of Marketing, Business Basics 101. What is marketing? Marketing encompasses the strategies and tactics brands use to promote their products and services to customers. Now, once again, not technically wrong, but it's misleading. It leaves you with the wrong impression. Namely, that impression is that it's all about you. It's about you promoting your stuff. It's about you making it popular. Wrong. And this is what a lot of introverts and technical introverts that I've worked with have had a problem with. They can't step out of this. Because when you want to start a business or you want to do a side hustle, I like to think of it as a very rebellious thing. You have your vision of what you want to do, that you believe will be a success. It's all about you, and you want to do it your way, right? Marketing, however, tries to teach you that it's not all about you. For you to be a success, you need to sell it to people, and it's really about those people. It's about your customers. So you need to understand who they are, where they are, how they think, how you can convince them, what they're looking for, what they want, what they need. If you don't understand that, you don't have anything. If you try and push something on them that they don't want or they don't need, they're not going to buy it. They have free will. It's not about educating them. It's not about pushing something on them, like some of these articles that I've looked at. That's what they talk about. It's about understanding your market. If you understood where your customers are and how to sell to them because you're telling them what they want to hear and what they've been looking for, you would make a fortune. Marketing is the study of customers, and to understand your customers, that's the secret of success. Okay, a lot of people start up businesses in a void. It's all about them. And they give no thought to who's going to buy this. They just think, oh, I'll just tell people and they will instantly come. Build it and they will come, right? Yeah, that doesn't work, and you don't have to take my word for that. Go check it out. So if this is all new for you, you're taking your steps into a bigger world. Health Mention is here. Says, hello everyone. Can't wait to learn today from the expert. Well, thank you very much, Health Mention. That's quite the vote of confidence. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for commenting. I see there's 19 people in the chat. Thank you all for being here. And as I say, if you have any specific questions or you're struggling with a specific challenge, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to help you out. Okay, pulling up my notes again here. Yeah, so that's kind of the first thing. A lot of people, even though what I've covered so far right now is just very simplistic, some very simple ideas. Already, I've met a lot of people and I've worked with a lot of people that they haven't got this far. They think about, it's all about what they want to do. If they have an idea for say you're an inventor type of entrepreneur and you're a technical entrepreneur, you're a developer, you write code, or you're an engineer or a technician, and you can create something and you want to sell it as a product. A lot of those people that I've worked with, they think, they never think about customers. They only think about what they want to do. I can do this. and I don't see it out in the world, so I'm going to do this, and it'll just automatically be a hit, right? And then you ask them, you say like, well, how do you know it's going to be a hit? And they get frustrated by being asked those types of questions, right? Because they consider those questions irrelevant, like that never occurred to them. What do you mean I need evidence? I just know it. Look, I've been in this business many years, and I just know people will love this. It's like, okay, right? Now, in a lot of situations, I've tried to sort of get them to think about these concepts, and they kind of refuse to, and then they go ahead and then they learn the hard way by creating a product, putting all the money in, putting all the time in, all this kind of stuff, and then they try and sell it, and then they discover that nobody buys it, and it becomes a failure. And then they don't understand what happened. Or they conclude, oh, people are stupid, and then that's their, like that, in their own mind, that's their explanation for why they failed. I didn't do anything wrong. It's just people are dumb, and they don't recognize what they need, right? So that's kind of what this is the cure for, right? It's the realization that you don't exist in a void. If you are a business, you are connected to a lot of other people, whether you like it or not. At the very least, you're connected to all your customers. You have to interact with them, and you have to persuade them to buy whatever it is that you're selling. So that's what marketing is. So to go beyond this basic concept, realizing it's not about you, and you have to learn about customers. And if it's a situation where you think that they should want something, but when you talk to the people that you're targeting and you ask them, do you want this? And they say, no, I don't want that. I don't care about that. Even if they're wrong and they would actually greatly benefit from it, what that's telling you is that you're going to have a very hard time succeeding in trying to sell that product to them. You'd have to change people's minds, and that's extremely hard to do. Very, very hard. Mickey 9 is here. Hello to Mickey 9. Mickey 9 says, hi, Bill. I came a little bit late. Nice to see you again. Same to you, Mickey 9. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so let's get into this. Okay, so in marketing, they study 3 basic questions, okay? And unlike those articles that talk about things like the 4 Ps of marketing or the 5 Ps or the 7 Ps or wherever we're at now with this flavor of the month kind of stuff, it doesn't revolve around that. It revolves around this. 3 fundamental things. One is, who are your customers or your potential customers? Who are they? Like specifically, where are they? Who are these people? Right? If you're going to sell something online, say you're going to open up an e-store or you're going to partner with Amazon and sell products on Amazon, who specifically are you wanting to buy this? And what I mean by that is, give me some numbers. How many of them are there? What characterizes them? How do you know that they're there? Right? Like these specifics. What are they looking for? Have you ever met one of these people? Have you spoken to them? Do you know what their needs are? Do you know what their wants are specifically? Okay? One of the things they do in marketing, if you do it as part of a big organization, is they do things like market research, where they go and they try and interview customers and ask them 20 questions and find out what they think, what they're looking for, what's their understanding of different things, right? But that's the first question. Who is your market specifically? How many people? Where are they located? Okay, that's the first thing. What characteristics do they share? That's the first question. The second question is, what message could you possibly send to these people that would convince them to do business with you? Okay? Now, a message doesn't necessarily mean words. A message could be like you show them a picture, or you show them a video, or the message doesn't come from you. It's one of their family members recommending you to them, right? Like that's what they would need to hear to convince them to buy your product or your service or whatever it is that you're offering, right? What would that message be? Okay? Now, for some people, it's just a matter of saying, this is the service, this is the price. Here's my phone number, right? You're selling plumbing services. Oh, people know what that is. Oh, they also know that they need it because last year they had their toilet back up on them or something, and it was a big disaster, and they now realize the value of, having someone come and sell you plumbing services, right? So they know what it is. They know that they need it already without being educated. They also know that it's something that they should pay money for. That's a separate thing, because you can get, you can know what something is, you can know that you need it, but, when someone tries to sell it to you, you think, no, that should be provided free. I should be able to get that for free, right? So they don't realize that they should pay for it and that what you're asking is a reasonable price, right? Okay, so the number two problem in marketing is, what would the message be? If you could send a message to these people in your target market, your potential customers, what would best convince them, right? Sometimes you don't need words, you don't need someone like a conversation. You could just show someone a picture. Like, I think if you're trying to sell running shoes or something, Nike, you show a picture, right, of like some incredible athlete that they all know, your customers are familiar with and they look up to or something, and the athlete is wearing that particular shoe. And the customer who sees that message, that picture, instantly thinks, oh, I want that shoe, right? And they know where to get it, Nike, and they know what Nike is. You go to a Nike store or a shoe store, whatever, and you buy that athletic store. That's all they need to convince them that I need that thing, right? Maybe it's a post on social networking. Maybe it's your friends talking about it. So the message can come in a variety of forms, and it could be radically different depending on what we're talking about. It could be information. It could be facts. Here's what this does. It saves you this amount of money. Here's what it's called. Here's how it pays off. Here's how much you have to pay now. Here's how much it pays you back in 2 years. Something like that. There you go. Right? But that's the second thing. So number one is, who is your target market? Second thing is, what is the message that you need to send them to convince them to do business with you? And then the third and final question that marketing struggles with, and they attempt to solve, or they attempt to answer, is the channel. It's like, how do you send that message to them? Okay, so if you've identified a target market, which is a group of potential customers that are out there, you know where they are, you know where they're located, you know their habits, like, are they on the internet? Are they not on the internet? Do they see billboards as they drive by in their car? Or do they not own cars? Do they take the bus? Are they poor? Are they rich? You know about them. That's the first question. Second question is, what message do you send, right? So if you could get a message to them, this is the best message that would convince them. And the third one is, what channel that message has to go over to reach your potential market. Okay, so if you know that all I've got to do is give them this picture, if they could see this image, then they will want to buy my product and they will be able to, right? But the question is, how do I get all those people that would buy Nike shoes to see this image? Do I put an internet ad? Do I put it on Discord? Is that where they're all going to be looking? Do I run ads on cable TV, if that even still exists? Do I do posts on social media? Do I do a paid promotion on Instagram? Or do I do a sort of, viral post on Twitter/X? There's many possible things you could do. You could run posters. You could have people driving by in automobiles in every city, with a loudspeaker publicizing it. You could try and do a word of mouth campaign. You could buy off critics, which is apparently a thing we do these days. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's many different channels you could go over. Maybe it's a combination. You won't know how to do that unless you know who it is you're trying to target, right? But those are the three fundamentals of marketing. Who's my target market? What message do I need to send? And how can I send it to them? That's marketing. Now, imagine if you had full and complete information and full and complete answers to those three questions. You know exactly who is going to buy a product. You know exactly how they think, what their habits are, what their behavior is, like where are they looking, and you know precisely what to say to them in one message that will get them to want to buy a lot of your product or service. If you had full and complete information on those three things, you'd be making a fortune. You'd see success. Right? You know exactly what they would buy and exactly how to sell it to them. Right? Now, as you can appreciate, this also informs maybe what you should do, what you should be offering. Right? If you know that they will, buy, I don't know, you could sell 20,000 units in a month of product A if you produce product A, but you could sell 200,000 units of product B if you produce that to the same people. You might want to decide to produce product B instead, right? So that's what marketing is. So the idea is that it's not all about you and what you want to do. If you want to see success, you have to sort of get some answers to some of these questions, and then that will inform you as to what you do that will most likely lead to success, right? That's the principle behind it. Health Mention says, Mickey9, glad you make it. The expert always has great tips. Well, once again, thank you. You guys are very, very kind. And I'm glad you're finding this useful. As always, you can always let me know if there's a particular topic you'd like me to cover specifically on one of these episodes, because, like for the very same reasons that that I was just talking about, more people will tune in for something that you guys are actually interested in rather than me wanting to talk about something. So let me know what that might be. Okay, so that's basically marketing. Now, from this point onwards, it splits off depending on what your situation is. If you're making products for industrial customers or you're making products for consumers, what type of product is, what business you're in, like then the specifics are going to split off into whatever business we're talking about on precisely how you do these three things. But the basic idea is that if you are starting off and you're just like a one-person business venture, you're wanting to start something up in your spare time, like a side hustle, or you're wanting to do something full-time and start your own business, the key thing to know what to do, should I do this or that, like all these decision points that you will encounter, is to get in front of customers and mingle with them and talk to them and try and get a feel for what they would prefer, what they would want. Would you rather buy this or would you rather buy this? Would you rather it be done in installments or would you rather it be a lump sum thing? Would you rather it be a monolithic kind of solution or would you rather it be a modular, granular thing? Like whatever, right? You know what I mean? You will not be able to get intelligent answers to these questions until you start interacting with your potential customers. And you can do this before you've spent any money, before you've really made any commitments to anything, before you even started. You can get out and say like, okay, I'm thinking of maybe doing this, maybe selling plumbing services, whatever. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to go find, like, if I were to do that, who are people that buy plumbing services? Do you know that? I don't know that. But if someone put a gun to my head and said, like, you have to find the answer to this, I'd start by looking at the existing companies that are in the plumbing business that are near me. Who are their customers, right? Let's start with that. Is there a plumbing association in my town? Do they have trade shows? Do they have resources for people who want to become plumbers? Are there people that teach, plumbing in the local trade school, like people that are expert plumbers that are veterans of the industry? maybe I should go and talk to them and get a feel for how that industry works. And, who are the big industrial customers? Who are the players? Who are the individuals? Maybe look at, if I wanted to buy plumbing services, let's do a Google search and see what I find. Let's look at what other people are doing, and start with that. And the idea is to learn more and more about your market. You're learning about the customers themselves. You're learning about the message that other companies are sending to convince people to do business with them. And you're seeing the channels that they're using to convey that message. It's interesting when people in the chat post comments that are in a language I don't understand. This looks like Cyrillic script. So that's interesting, and I can't translate it or anything. So that's a good way to keep people guessing, I suppose. Anyway, over to you guys. If you have questions, let me know, because ultimately this is a Q&A. I'm just here to answer questions. So if you see my face, get in the chat. Incidentally, something I've done in my career is I've tried to make it my specialty. Is I go into businesses, and one of the things I try and do is I try and what I normally find is that the operations departments and the marketing/sales departments, there's usually a gulf between them, figuratively speaking. These people do not see eye to eye. They don't interoperate with each other. They don't interact with each other. In a lot of cases, they're completely ignorant of what the other does. And they don't think very highly of the other. And so what I've tried to do in several businesses is try and bring those two functions, the operations department and the marketing department, closer together. Do a lot of cross-training, see what people on the other side of the fence do, and see how it fits in to the larger game of selling your products/services. When people understand, they see more of the picture, they tend to make more intelligent decisions in their jobs. So that's been something that I've tried to do for many years. Not getting a lot of questions. If you are wanting to start a business, or you're kind of curious about the whole business thing, which I highly encourage you to pursue, this will be something very important. It's also great in that it's studying topics or subjects like marketing that allow all of us to be less self-centered. And it's like you're really interacting with the real world when you try and pursue, this kind of stuff. When you try and learn not just the theory of marketing, but when you actually try and you're applying the principles, to find success in your own business venture. There was a question there for a second and then it disappeared. It was something to do with like, what qualities do you need? And I think they mentioned the word sales, but it's gone. Sales is closely related to marketing. Marketing is a theory. Sales is basically you apply the principles of marketing to go out and make sales, right? So it's more like the theory and the strategy is marketing, and then the actionable items are sales. Like there's other actionable items that come out of marketing, like market research is one of them, right? You're interacting with customers, you're going out, you're collecting information, you're out in the real world, getting real data, but you're not trying to sell anyone anything. It's real world, but not based on sales. So there are other practical applications where you get out in the world apart from sales. But sales is the big one, right? Like in a lot of businesses, you usually have the person at the helm, whether it's a CEO or a general manager or an owner, they're primarily concerned with sales, right? And so that's what they're wanting. But sales is a lagging thing. This is what a lot of people don't understand. if you've selected the right thing to sell, you've got the right product or service. By the way, it's called an offering. You know, a product or a service or a mix of the two is called an offering, right? So if you've done your homework and you've created the right offering and you've positioned it in the right way, the sales side, you know, is a lot easier than you'd think. And it can be as easy as being an inside salesperson where you're basically just answering phones and you're an order taker. People already see your message. Maybe you've put out some promotional materials or whatever, some ads, some posts, whatever, and they call in and say, I'd like to, you know, I know you guys have this product. I'll take two, and here's my credit card information, you know, so I'm paying for it. And then here's my address, send it out to me. So you're an order taker. Somebody was asking about, you know, what qualities or whatever it was that you need to do sales. It can be as simple as that. You just answer the phone, you answer a few questions, you take their order, and there you go. Or it can be as something as complex as outside sales, which is where you go to the customer and you try and do personal selling to them, right? That's where you usually need a lot of extroverts that are, you know, very good with people, and they enjoy doing that kind of thing. It's not necessarily about being good at it. It's about enjoying doing that kind of thing. A lot of introverts will hate that. They'll hate it with a passion. It's their version of hell, right? Some people go to a place where there's fire and a big devil person with horns with a big fork poking you in the butt. Other people, they go door to door, right? That's their personal hell. And get the doors, you know, would you like, and then slam, right? That kind of thing. Okay, we got more questions. Health Mention says, what are your thoughts on affiliate marketing? I have to look up affiliate marketing because I'm not 100% on the details. I know it's where you partner. I know it's very popular these days. I'm just going to make sure I'm talking about the right thing. The affiliate earns a commission marketing the other person's company product. Well, that's for people who don't really understand the theory. Like if you're a doer and you're not a thinker, and you've never been to school for learning any of the principles involved, and you don't have any original business ideas yourself, and you don't have the desire to create anything yourself, but yet you want to make money by being a part of this thing, you know, you could maybe do that. It might be for you. Personally, it's kind of a bit off-putting for me because it's almost like franchising, right? Now, I'm not necessarily knocking franchising, okay, because it does work for a lot of people, and it can be a good thing if you do it right. However, you know, you say like, okay, I want to be in, say, the donut shop industry, and I want to have my own donut shop, but I don't want to have to build my own brand and build my own positive reputation and make a name for myself. I don't want to have to think about any of that. I don't want to make the decisions about how to, you know, make a donut that's good, how to brand myself in a way that people recognize. I don't want to do any of the groundwork to popularize that brand. I just want to be a grunt. I want someone to give me a manual that says, step 1, turn on the oven. Step 2, put in the batter. Step 3, when you set up a store, call us. We'll install the sign. We'll install the chairs. We'll plan all the branding, all the decor and everything for you. You don't have to make any decisions. You just follow step by step what to do. And most likely, your donut shop will be a success because we've done all the work and we know what works. But the flip side is that we're going to take the lion's share of any of the profits you make in your store, right? And we're going to give you a little pittance. Now, you know, that enables people that aren't business geniuses to get into business and be an owner-operator and make money. And if they work hard over many, many years, they can make a small fortune. That's great. But what excites me more and where I think the real opportunities lie is, you know, if you just learn some of these pretty simple principles and built the entire thing yourself, on your ideas and your talent and your abilities. Because then, if it's a failure, no big deal. You do it in an intelligent way, you don't risk much, and then you start up again, you try again. But if it's a success, you keep it all, and you call all the shots. And you can feel proud of yourself because your success is entirely based on your own abilities, not somebody else's. It's almost like you're an employee, right? And that's kind of what I feel about affiliate marketing. It has its place. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing universally, but I think there are some people out there that, if they just learned a little bit more and they just thought a bit more and, they'd be able to, achieve so much more than this relationship where you're practically a grunt for somebody else. You're an employee for somebody else in a way. You know what I'm saying? That's my idea at it. It's maybe a good thing to start off with, possibly. But I've also heard stuff where the companies that want you to do affiliate marketing, you see, there's a reason why they're farming that out. Because, the logical thing to do would be to do it yourself, and then you don't have to pay any partners or anything like that. There's a reason why they're getting you to do it. Maybe there's a high proportion of failure, with these people. So they farm it out. They externalize, all of it so that, the majority that fails is not their problem, right? But they reap the benefit. So, I would just be mindful of that before sort of jumping into that without even looking any further. That would be my opinion of it. It also depends what age you are and, what your situation is. So for some people, it would make sense. But just as a general answer, that's what I'd say. Health Mention also says, any thoughts on SEO tactics for affiliate marketing brand ambassador? Well, you see, I don't know. I'm on this kind of live stream. I don't want to sort of sidestep it. I'll just come out and say it. I'm not super familiar. I haven't done any of that stuff online myself. So, you might want to talk to people that have actually done those specific things. But on this live stream, you see, I'm trying to get people to think bigger than that stuff. Because, affiliate marketing, brand ambassador, you see, you're working for somebody else. Don't be fooled by the fact that, instead of hiring you as an employee outright, they're using you as a contractor, right? That doesn't matter. You're really working for them. It's their idea, their process, their strategy. They call the shots. They tell you what to do, and you do their grunt work for them. And in return, they give you, a little piece of it while they keep the lion's share of it in most cases. So it requires you not to think. It requires you to follow instructions and do. And you don't know why you're being asked to do specific things and not other things. They figured that out in advance, but they're hiding that from you. So it's not really like you're being in business. It's like you're being an employee. So for that reason, generally speaking, I try to persuade people to think beyond that. Might be a good experience if you've never done anything like this before, but it can also maybe give you an overly negative impression of how it's going to go if you go into business for yourself, because you're not doing it your way. You're not playing to your strengths. You're doing it the way they want you to do it, and they've decided to outsource it, and that can be a red flag depending on what's really going on. That's what I'd say. But good questions, Health Mention. I know that a lot of people are wondering about that stuff because it's popular these days. At least it's internet popular, meaning that people seem to talk about it a lot. I don't know how successful it actually is. Meme Health says, how do you break into small markets with limited opportunities? Is it easier to hire someone with existing local connections or hire someone to go door to door? Is it easier to hire someone with existing local connections or hire someone? I wouldn't do either of those. Listen, if you are doing the scenario that this live stream is about, which is you are going into business for yourself, okay? In order to be successful, you have to do this work yourself. You have to understand the customers because you are at the helm. If you rely on somebody who's not in charge, who is not taking the risk that you risk. Okay, maybe you pay them by the hour. So they get paid no matter what, right? If they're being paid by the hour. They could do a terrible job and they still collect their pay, or they could hand you the keys to fame and fortune and they still get their regular pay, right? That's not a good situation, because the way humans generally tend to behave is they will not do their best. They will not be in it like the way you're going to be in it. They will not have skin in the game. You can't outsource, just like you can't outsource the strategy for your business. You have to think up your own strategy to be successful. You have to understand your own customers. You can't outsource that. Now, if you have an aversion to doing sales, like personal sales or something, I got great news for you. You know, we live in a wonderful age where we have the internet. We have all kinds of tools at our disposal. And, I mean, think of like the medium over which you're watching me, YouTube. It's like, what do? I sit in my office, I'm broadcasting myself. And, you know, in terms of publicizing me, that's handled by YouTube, right? In this specific case. So all I have to focus on is, what could I do that other people might like, other people might be interested in? You see, I don't have to worry about like promoting my video manually. I don't have to post it, you know, on social media. I don't do spam email lists, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about that. All I have to do is create something of value. And YouTube has their own little system where they figure out what's more popular and they serve up what's popular to different people, right? So that's taken care of. Now, let's say you're the type of person that, you know, you don't like to do personal selling. That whole thing is anathema to you. You can do a lot of stuff online. You can have ads posted. You could pay for advertising. You do other types of promotion online. You never have to talk to another human being. You never have to talk to a customer to try and sell something, right? Maybe you put an ad in, like in the old days, you could put an ad in the Yellow Pages or some kind of trade journal, like a trade magazine. You know, all the plumbers and the plumbing industry might read a magazine called Plumbing Magazine, right? Where they advertise all the latest plumbing tools. They talk about all the latest plumbing code changes. They have articles where they interview veteran plumbers and talk about where the industry's going. You know, it's like a plumbing centric thing. So if you put an ad there, all the people who care about plumbing would see it, right? And that might be your sole source of promotion. That's where all your sales come from. If the ad was good enough that when people saw it, that was enough to convince them to hire you, right? Then that might be sufficient, right? So if you have an aversion to talking to people, you know, maybe you could spin it into a business model where your marketing is done remotely over the internet or something, so you never have to go face to face with people. I mean, you know, like, you can custom, this is the beauty of like starting your own business. You can do it your own way and it can play to your strengths. But at the end of the day, you still need to understand who your customers are, what makes them tick, how they think, what they're looking for, how they perceive things, including how they perceive you. You still need to understand that. And there's no substitute for learning that. You can't farm it out. You will not succeed. To really drive this home, let me paint you a picture. That person you hire to do all this stuff for you, to interface with customers, understand what their needs are, and sell to them. If you're farming that out to someone, what's to stop that person from saying, hey, you know, I'm doing all this work. I'm learning how to sell this to people. I know exactly what's going to sell. I know exactly how much I can charge. Why do I need the owner of this new company? Why can't I just quit this job with this entrepreneur and set up on my own and do what I'm doing now, except they keep all the money? You know, right? Like, there's nothing stopping that person. There's no barrier to entry, right? And if that person ever leaves your company, what do? Right? All that information goes with them. all that knowledge. You'd have to hire someone else and start from scratch. So there's a variety of reasons why it's a bad idea to outsource this stuff. The journey you're on is this journey of understanding your customers, where they are, how to sell to them, what they're looking for. That's something that nobody can take away from you. That's what makes you valuable. And knowing all that stuff in your head, that will allow you to make every decision you make will be the right one. That's what I'd say. That's a very good question. This is the first thing that comes to mind to a lot of introverts that are not people, right? They want to farm it out, right? That's the first thing. When they realize the need for this, that's the first thing that occurs to them. Okay, I don't want to do it, but it has to be done. Maybe I can get someone to do it for me, right? It's a very intelligent question. Okay, where was I here? Okay, so how do you break into small markets with limited opportunities? Is it easier to hire someone with existing local connections? Okay, how do you break into small markets? Well, to answer that first part of the question, you just immerse yourself in it. So if there is a local market, how do you know it exists? You're telling me there's a local market? How do you know? Show me some proof. Have you seen these people? Where are they? Are they do they physically congregate in one place where you could go and, talk to them? Do they all show up for an event or something? Or are they all scattered around in their homes, but they're on the internet? And maybe they're all looking at the same social media site or something like that. Or they're all watching YouTube videos, or they're all on LinkedIn in a group, or they're all on Facebook in a private group where they all interact. How do you know this local market exists? Go there, start interacting with these people, start reading their posts. If they're in person, go there and talk to them. See how much you can learn about them. And then as you start to get information trickling in about who these people are and what makes them tick, that will inform you what you need to do to break into the market, how you need to sell to them. Okay? And this knowledge that you get from doing this is gold. This is the key to success. Because whoever makes the money is the one that understands the customer the best. How do you say it? Levante says, what would you say is the best, or just in general, good way to kickstart sales for a new business? Okay. Let me illustrate a principle for you. Think of cars. You want to buy a car, you want to buy an American car, right? Okay. You enjoy cars that break down often and that give you really crappy gas mileage and, are just not very good in general, right? Like that, you're just into that, right? So you want to buy one of those. So you go to a American car dealership. I say American, I'm talking traditionally American, like Jeep or something. And their salespeople have to work really hard. They apply every technique in the book. They really try and persuade you, this is the car you want. And they talk you into it. Right? Those salespeople, you could argue they earn their money because they got to work really hard for every sale. Or you could go across the street to, say, a Toyota dealership. Their salespeople don't have to work very hard because a lot of people just want to buy a Toyota. Why? Maybe because they've driven one. Maybe they've owned one before. Maybe their friend owns one. And they've seen how the Toyota never breaks down, whereas their car, that isn't a Toyota, always breaks down. It doesn't start in the winter when it's cold. It constantly, you need maintenance on it. And when you go to the garage, it always costs you a lot more than you were expecting, so on. I'm beating up on car companies here. I have an intent to it. Just, you get my point. It's an example. So people get it into their head like, next time I'm getting a Toyota. So they walk into the Toyota dealership. They already know they want to buy a Toyota. And then they buy the Toyota. The only thing they need the salesperson for is to discuss what price. And do you have the color I want? Something like that, right? You see, my point is that the product, if it's a good product, it's a much easier sell than if you're producing something that people don't really want, they don't really care about, you know? So the question is, you know, like you want to kickstart sales for a new business. The number one way actually is like using your marketing knowledge, okay? You're offering something that you know people want. You ask them, what's the most important thing to you in a car? And they say, oh, reliability, you know, or whatever. And then you go and you create that product. And then you position, you say like, you know, much more reliable. Finally, a reliable car, Toyota, you know, something like that, right? I know you're talking about small business and I'm using Toyota as an example, but the same principle applies, right? So you give them, and then when they hear this, they hear what you're offering, they go, oh, yes, I'm interested. Tell me more, you know? Where do you get this Toyota car? Where, you know, do you have them around here? How much do they cost, you know? Right? They might even be willing to pay a premium. Your product is more expensive than maybe what's already available on the market, but this is tailored to what they care about. They'll pay a premium for that, right? So that's the way you have to think of this. Marketing has to come first. You have to create something that people want and they need and they're excited about. And then when you just tell them about it, that's enough to get their attention and to make them think, oh, I want that, right? Okay, so that's the beginning of it. But the direct answer to your question is communication. You have to then communicate with your target market. So like the principles we talked about, you know who it is that you're trying to sell to, you know exactly what you have to say or show, and you know exactly how to reach them. If you knew those three things, this would not be a challenge. And some people can just get on their phone and in like 30 seconds, bam, they've just sent that message to 1 million people and then the sales start pouring in, right? Like when you have the answers to these things and you can produce something that they want, that's the effect. So you've got to get out and communicate with them. So it's communication that goes both ways. You want to learn about them, figure out what makes them tick, and then you want to communicate to them what you're offering. So either way, you need to get and mingle with these people, find out who they are, and learn all you can about them. If you're a total introvert, one place to look initially is to see if there's an online community of some kind. You know, it doesn't always exist, or it can be deceptive. Some of those people are online, but that's not really the way you sell things to them. But you know, that'll be the first place to look. Do these people congregate anywhere? Are they all getting together and talking about things? If they are, you join the chat, ask them what they think about different things, get data coming in, and then while you're at it, you could also mention, oh, I'm thinking of doing this. Is anyone interested? How much would you pay for this? You know, what would be the most important thing you'd look for in that? And so on. Health Mention says, thank you. You're absolutely welcome, Health Mention. Alexander sends a super chat. Thank you, Alexander. It says, I'm thinking of making web-based games with ads on it. Are there any special considerations I should make? Oh, well, that's a pretty general question. Well, look, do I know the current market of web-based games? No, I don't. You wouldn't talk to me for that. But here's the kind of thing you would do, okay? Find out the people who play those games, like we were saying here. Find out who they are, where they are, okay? In order to get them to play your game, figure out what would be involved and what they would go for, right? And then, if you're specifically wanting to do it with ads, like before you just automatically decide that, I don't know, maybe you might want to just validate that decision. Would it make more sense to get them to pay at the beginning or pay once they reach a certain level or something? I don't know. Just all I'm saying is it sounds like you've already decided on that way of getting revenue. So just make sure that that's correct before you move forward and never question it. Okay. Now the special considerations would be what I like the theme of this episode of Side Hustle Ideas, which is marketing, and specifically the 3 fundamental questions you have to answer in marketing. Who are your customers? What message do you have to say or show to convince them to play your game and also to buy it, or to have money coming in, I guess through ads or whatever. And finally, how do you reach those people? How do you get the message out? Whatever the message is that will convince them, how do you get that out so it reaches them? You don't just need to reach 1 or 2 people. You need to reach a lot of people, right? You need to make sure there are a lot of people. I think there are in gaming. But how do you elevate yourself above all the other games? Like, that might be a fundamental question that you're going to have to get a very good answer to, right? Why would they play your game instead of all these other offerings, right? And then if you do have an answer for that, if it's just a theory, show me the proof. How do you know that that's actually how it works? Try something and then look at the result, right? Is there something you can do before you invest in building a full game, which my understanding is it takes many years and it's a big deal? Is there some like minimal proof of concept thing you could do? Like, I don't know, some equivalent of Pong or something, like some very simple thing that's simple, but it's cool. Use it to test this principle. If you can get 20,000 people to play your game like the first week it's released, even if it's this little minimal thing, it's free, then I would be inclined to believe you when you say, oh yeah, they will play my game if I send the message to them this way. You see? You can't just go on theory, and you need to test these before you invest lots of time and lots of money, because what you would get is the situation I've seen many times with a lot of startup founders that I've worked with, where they don't want to prove any of this marketing stuff. They want to do what they want to do. So they go ahead and they take 2 years to develop something, a lot of money, a lot of time, and they complete it, but only just before they run out of money. And then at that point, if they launch it and it fails, they're done. And they've wasted 2 years, right? So you want to do the validation before you really invest the, big effort and time and money to create the offering, right? Especially when you're starting out. Now, there's always a way to validate for cheap and quick. There's always a way. It requires a bit of thinking. Okay? So it's a matter of thinking. What could you possibly do that would validate these theories you have about how to reach this market and how it's going to be a success? I want to see proof that the market is that big. I want to see proof that you can reach them. And I want to see proof that they will respond by playing your game and wanting more. But that's what I'd say. Hopefully that makes sense, Alexander. This is the type of thing you have to do. Now, I know that a lot of, especially technical introverts, inventor types, this is not what you want to hear. You just want to go ahead and make the thing that you want to make, right? It's like a creatively satisfying thing, right? The problem is if it's going to take you a long time and a lot of money, like maybe your life savings, to do this, if it's going to flop spectacularly, you want to know now before you even start, so you can go back to the drawing board and tweak it a little and make changes that will turn it into a success, right? You want to know that now rather than at the end when you've gone down this path and all that money is spent, right? That's the thing. Okay, because the goal here is to have a success, and this stuff has to come first before you launch. You can't sort of just launch, have no one buy it, and then wonder what went wrong, and then you start paying attention to marketing. That's a pattern I've seen over and over too. And by that time, it's kind of too late. You have to start from scratch. But hopefully that makes sense to everyone. The good news is that, it really doesn't take any money or effort really to do this. It just takes a bit of thinking. And, if you're truly interested in making a success of whatever your business is, you will kind of enjoy the process because you will be getting these like gold nuggets, like of information as you go. And it'll be kind of exciting as you learn more and more about like, these are where people are. Oh, it's that they're interested in, this kind of thing. And you try. One tool you can do, one tactic you can do is to try to sell something that doesn't exist. Okay? Now, hear me out. This isn't as underhanded and as slimy as it sounds. It's actually a legitimate thing. Let's say you talk to a bunch of customers, okay? And they feed you information about maybe what they're looking for and what's exciting to them and what they would pay money for, okay? So you get this information and you say, okay, so based on what I've learned, it seems like a product that could do this would sell well, and I might be able to sell that, okay? So to test this, you go to those people that you've already connected with, okay, in this target market, and you say, hello everyone, I'm offering this. Here is a product that can do this for you. This is what it's called. This is what it does. This is how much it costs. And this is how you order one, okay? So they have everything they need to buy it, and you see what results you get. Now, if nobody orders it, that tells you something. If you get inundated with like 100 orders in the first day, that tells you something else. If people are like standing with their money out, here, take my money, I'll take 2, right? That tells you something. So if you got that, then you could say, okay, it seems like it would make sense for me now to go ahead and create this product that I believe I can make that, has all the characteristics of what I just told everybody about, okay, and offer it for sale, right? Now, I'm not suggesting, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting you take people's money and don't give them anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just a validation thing. Now, what some people have done is they've said like, okay, you can pre-order it, right? So that means I keep your money, but I owe you a product. So once I've decided that I will create the product and I am going to do it, it's even an option to say this is a pre-order. I can either refund your money now, or you can keep it as a pre-order and, you're one of the first 100 customers. You're first in line to receive this. It'll take, say, a month or 2 months, or you just say that up front, whatever. But if you do that, you can even keep the money. And if you need money to create the product, that's your startup capital. So you've like got advance orders. That's your seed money in a way. And then you use that to produce the initial batch of products, right? Like that's one way of doing it. There's many, many ways of doing this. You can think up your own way of doing it, but that's something that has been done, right? Health mention, really great questions, everyone. Yes, I agree. Meme Health says, why do bad products have better sales than good products on the market? Many examples out there these days. Okay, here is a dose of reality, okay? How have you concluded that it's a bad product, okay? Now, for example, earlier I was talking about, I was beating up on the American car industry, right? I was saying, American cars, unreliable, bad quality, the features are not what people want, unreliable and expensive to fix, whatever. I mean, I was making that up. That may have been true in the 70s and 80s, possibly even the 90s, but I'm just making it up as an example. Whereas Toyota, as a contrast to that, reliable, maybe not the most stylish thing ever, but reliable, cheap to operate, lasts for many years, has a lot of resale value, this kind of stuff. So it's an easy sell for people, right? So you brand American cars bad, hypothetically, and maybe a Japanese car good. How do you come up with that bad moniker? Now, the American cars still sold, even when they had this reputation of being expensive to maintain, unreliable, and they didn't have a lot of features that people wanted. Well, if they were truly bad, they wouldn't have sold, but they did sell. Okay, so why was it? It could have been something as simple as price. Maybe the American car, in order to compete, they had to price them right down so that they were half the price of a Toyota, right? So, okay, you don't get quite the quality product that you might with a Toyota, but it's half the price. And you know what? That meets my needs. So I will buy the American car over the Toyota. Maybe that's what a lot of customers thought. Maybe when you talk about a lot of bad products, that's what you're talking about. Now, I don't want to beat up on a specific company here, but I'm going to. In my area, we have, for like hardware stores and stuff, we have Home Depot, right? There's many hardware stores, but one of them is Home Depot. Now, personally, I've had bad experiences with Home Depot. In my experience, personally, I found that all the stuff I bought from them turned out to be cheap Chinese crap. And that, it wasn't very good. It would break after a very short amount of time, and you'd end up having to redo the whole home repair later, but this time using products that you did not buy from Home Depot that you might have paid a little more for, but, they were better quality. So, it begs the question, why is Home Depot still as successful as it is, even though I consider their products to be of inferior quality? Well, obviously, I'm in the minority because a lot of people would prefer to buy something cheap over something good. Or maybe they've had different experiences than me, right? But you can't say in absolute terms it's bad because it's selling. I think I have a similar opinion about Tim Hortons. I'm in Canada, and Tim Hortons is unfortunately, what we're known for, donut shop. I've gone there. I've had really bad experiences. I've had donuts that were barely edible. I've had coffee that was absolutely disgusting. I've had people that don't know how to make coffee working at the coffee shop that made me a coffee that's completely wrong. You try and drink it, it's full of I get a mouthful of coffee beans. Terrible. But yet they're a big success. They make a lot of money. Why is that? It's because you got a lot of people that obviously believe that what they're offering, not the greatest coffee, not the greatest donuts, but whatever they're offering, it meets their needs. It's cheap and it's convenient and they're always open or whatever. Maybe that's what they're looking for, right? That's why we go back once again to the different market segments, the different types of customers out there. Which ones are you going for? Are you going for the people with caviar taste that would only go and get their coffee at Starbucks, which is maybe higher quality, but 5 times more expensive? Or are you going to the vast majority of people that apparently are happy getting the sludge that you get at Tim Hortons, or at least I've gotten at Tim Hortons? So, you know what I'm saying? You have to evaluate these things objectively. Maybe the reality is that most people start out drinking Tim Hortons coffee, but eventually, after a certain number of years, realize that, I'm going to Starbucks from now on, or something. I don't know. But this is the kind of thing that you would do research on, figure out, who is it that's, what are the different types of customers? How many of them are? Where are they? How do you convince them to buy? And if you don't understand something about how the world is operating, but it seems to keep operating that way, then obviously you're missing important information. Okay, Health Mention is replying to Meme Health, so there you go. Okay, any last questions? Please post them in the chat if you have any. I need to wrap this up in at least in the next 10 minutes. But just to recap, we talked about marketing. So this is, in the context of business, you've got 3 key pillars, in my opinion, and in my experience, that hold up a business. You have to get these things right in order to see success. Marketing is the first one. Okay, you have to have your marketing down. You have to understand your customers, understand what makes them tick, what their wants are, what their needs are, why they would buy from you and instead of your competitors. Okay, and then how to connect with them. The other one is operations. Obviously, it's doing the thing that you do. So if you're in the plumbing business, it's the plumbing part, right? If you can't do plumbing worth a damn, it's kind of hard to be in the plumbing business. If you can't build a product that your customers want, then it's kind of hard to be a success, right? So operations is the second pillar. And the third pillar is finance. It's where the money is. All the way from accounting, which is like you have to actually make a profit doing this. So you have to understand your costs and understand your pricing, and your pricing has to fit in with the larger market. But also how to make financial decisions that lead to you making money instead of you losing money. So those are the three pillars: marketing, operations, and finance. So for a lot of people that have specific skills in a specific area, like let's say you're a chef in a restaurant and you want to go into business opening your own restaurant, well, you probably have a lot of the operations side down already. You know how to make great food, you know how to run a kitchen, you know how to operate all the equipment and how to get them fixed, and maybe where you would order all the equipment from in the first place. You have that down. Where you may need to learn and add to your skill set is learning marketing and learning finance, whether you learn finance itself or accounting, but a combination of both of those. Those are the two areas you would need: marketing and finance. And if you add those and you understand those, there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be a success starting up your own food-based venture. Salesforce is a horrible service. I've never used Salesforce. I've heard a lot about them. Health Mention says, Bill, you are great. I could listen to you all day. Well, thank you. Yeah, I tend to ramble, don't I? And we're talking about Salesforce. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot about Salesforce, but I don't know much about them. Like all those sort of CRM things, they provide, as I understand it, they provide tools that give you a piece of the marketing puzzle. Like they'll give you the software solution where you can enter all your customers in and, all the details about them, and then do statistical analysis and data mining and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, yeah, it gives you a tool if that is indeed correct. That's what they do. But there's a lot more to it than just that. The other thing is that when someone sells you a solution, it's kind of tailored to how they think you should do something. Now, that it could be bang on, or it could be really not appropriate for what you're trying to do. Maybe all the information they want you to enter is irrelevant for your particular situation, or you need to enter in all kinds of different information that they don't really know how to handle properly. So, there you go. Okay, well, I don't see a lot of questions coming in, so I will start to wrap this up. Thank you to everybody who's here. Now, if you do want to learn more about business, I've got to say it's been on the screen this whole time. I have put a lot of this into a course called the $100 MBA. It's exactly the same as a university MBA program, which is a master's degree in business. So if you want to learn business, that's the gold standard. Now, what I did is I put it all into a course, and it's self-study. So there's nobody reading a book to you. You get the textbooks, you read them yourself, you go as deep as you want, you read about only the things you're interested in, if you want to do it that way. And I kind of guide you through it. I did not write the books, but these are the books that are being used in top-notch MBA programs around the world, like Harvard Business School. They use these same textbooks. So you take a class on finance from Harvard Business School, they're using the same textbook as you're using in my course. You might have a more charismatic professor who might be a great deal thinner than I am, but it's the same material. So, and then you read it on your own. And this stuff really isn't rocket science. So if you want to learn business, I would say I highly recommend to learn business if you're going to be in business. And you don't necessarily have to take my course, but I put it together as a sort of cheap alternative to taking a full-blown 2-year, MBA from a brick and mortar university. Anyway, if you are interested in that, there's a link in the description, and I've put all kinds of information so you know exactly how it works before you pull the trigger on it. But yeah, learning this stuff is the key to success instead of just taking a stab in the dark. That's why a lot of entrepreneurial ventures fail. It's like 90% plus failure rate on your first attempt because, you're usually missing information. And a lot of people attempt it when they don't really know anything about business. So that's really what holds them back. Anyway, thank you for being here. I will be back next week with another episode of Side Hustle Ideas. Thank you to Alexander for the super chat. You're awesome, Alexander. And everyone who commented and everyone who showed up today, you are all awesome. I wish you every success in your business ventures, whether it's a side hustle or a full-blown business venture. And if you run into problems or have any questions, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Take care. I'll see you in a week.